What's up, everybody? I hope everyone out there is having a great day today. And before I get started with this video, I just wanted to say a quick something. They said something in this particular episode of Making a Murderer that I'm going to go over right now about Teresa Halbach's family having to relive this situation over again and how hard it is. And I could not imagine how difficult, how horrible, and I don't even know the correct words to state how hard it must be for Teresa Halbach's family to have to relive this event because of the Making a Murderer documentary, because of all of the free Stephen Avery and free Brendan Dassey Facebook pages, Twitter accounts, messages. It's all over the world. I honestly have nothing to compare it to. I have no idea how difficult it must be for them. With that said, what about Stephen Avery's family? What about Brendan Dassey's family? Brendan was 16 years old. How can anybody watch those police interviews and think that is okay? If the time comes that Stephen Avery and Brendan Dassey are released from prison, and I sure hope it comes soon, do you think that they will acknowledge that they were wrong since 2005 when this horrible crime happened? And I would hope that they would want the correct people brought to justice. But here we go. Season 2, Episode 1 of Making a Murderer. Kathleen Zellner is now on the case. Here we go. At this particular time, when this documentary originally aired, it stated that Kathleen Zellner was known for freeing 17 wrongfully convicted people from prison. That number is now up to 19, and hopefully Stephen Avery and Brendan Dassey, via proxy of Stephen Avery, our numbers 20 and 21. There was a lot of controversy within the first season of Making a Murderer, according to Ken Kratz. According to Ken Kratz, the Making a Murderer creators left out a lot of crucial evidence. So the filmmakers put all of Ken Kratz's interviews of him being critical over the evidence they left out at the beginning of this documentary. Ken Kratz states that they left a lot of things out of the first season, such as DNA on the latch, sweat on the hood latch of the RAV4. Says you can't plant sweat, but you don't want to muddy up a perfectly good conspiracy movie with what actually happened. And I love that the Making a Murderer filmmakers put that in, just coming straight out forward, being like, this is what Ken Kratz had to say about our film. This are what the people that don't believe Stephen Avery and Brendan Dassey are saying. We're going to put it all out there. Stephen Drizzen is interviewed, and he is one of Brendan Dassey's lawyers, of course. He says that we lost in the state trial court under Judge Fox. They lost in the Wisconsin Court of Appeals. They have hope that the Wisconsin Supreme Court would take a look at the case. The judge now looking at the case needs to overturn the decision of the other judges. Laura Nyrider is back. Love Laura. She's great. I absolutely love the way she thinks, the things she says. She has seemingly the same thoughts on the situation as I do. So I'm really interested when I hear her speak, because I agree 100% with everything that she says. She says that when Brendan Dassey files a habeas petition, they are asking the federal court to review the way the state court applied the U.S. Constitution in Brendan Dassey's case. They are looking at two different things, two main points. They are looking at Brendan Dassey's confession. They are stating that his Fifth Amendment rights were violated because his statement was involuntary because of the way he was coerced when that statement was got. And also the second one, his Sixth Amendment rights were violated, his right to counsel. Magistrate Judge William E. Duffin will review the case. There is no timeline on when he has to review the case. Could be tomorrow, could be a year from now. They filed the report on October 2014, and the judge at this point in time now has had the habeas petition for 20 months. They also state the Supreme Court would not look at Stephen Avery's case. Sandy Greenman, who was Stephen Avery's girlfriend at the time, so Sandy Greenman and Stephen Avery wrote Kathleen Zellner starting in 2012. They wrote her for 4 years before they got a reply from Kathleen Zellner, and as soon as she did reply, she took the case. Kathleen Zellner says, "You would have to be crazy to hire her if you are guilty." She states, "If you are guilty and hire me, I will find out." Kathleen Zellner got a RAV4 to do a lot of the testing. She states a lot of the case revolves around the RAV4. The bloodstains in the case, the bloodstains in the RAV4 are the biggest pieces of evidence against Stephen Avery. Kathleen Zellner talks with Stuart James, who is a bloodstain pattern expert. If you don't know what that is, he's Dexter, minus all the other stuff Dexter did. Kathleen Zellner is talking with him. She states there is no blood on the key, the steering wheel, the door handle, or the gear shift. Stuart James states it doesn't make any sense that they say that this source of blood is coming from an active source of bleeding. They do multiple tests in the RAV4 to prove that the blood stain did not come from the cut on Stephen Avery's finger. They do a test where they're turning the ignition key, trying to get blood in behind it where the blood stain was, and no blood appeared where they say it did. And where they say there was no blood on the gear shift, when they did the testing, they proved that blood would appear on the gear shift. And that honestly makes sense to me. The key thing, you could argue that different size hands. They say this guy had similar hands to Stephen Avery, but depending how Avery turned the key, theoretically, according to the state, that he could have, you could argue that he could have hit the dash. But on the gear shift, everybody just grabs the gear shift. There would have absolutely been blood on the gear shift, 100%, no doubt. If you're bleeding from your finger, an active source of bleeding, and you grab the gear shift, there's at least going to be one drop of blood, if not a lot more, on that gear shift. Absolutely 1000%. They do multiple tests and they prove that it was not done like the state said it was done, meaning they did not get blood when they and also on the key as well. There would have 100% been blood on the key. Even if there was blood on the dash thing behind the key, there would have been blood on the key, and there would have been blood 100% on the gear shift. Both those things, there's no way that there would have been no blood on the key and no blood on the gear shift. There's no way. There would have been absolutely blood on both those things. They then talk about how Teresa Halbach's blood got into the back of the RAV4. If she was put into the back of the RAV4 as the state said she was, her blood wouldn't have appeared circular. It would have shown direction of travel. Meaning, when you fling somebody into the back of the car, it's not going to show up ... It's going to show up in like a streaking motion. Say you wet a mop and whip that mop against a wall. You're going to see a lot of streaks. You'll see a couple dots as well, I'm sure. But you will see a lot of streaks showing direction that the blood was traveling in. And there was none of that. There was just little tiny dots. And that's the type of testing that they do. They do a few tests recreating the body being tossed into the back of the RAV4, and it shows that it was not done like the state said it was done. They also do more tests showing that the blood would not have shown up the way they said it did if she was shot, but they did tests recreating it and it would show up if she was hit with a hammer, which is horrendous to think about. I mean, it seems to believe that Kathleen Zellner doesn't seem to think she was shot. It seems that she believes this crime was done with a hammer, and she is 100% sure things did not happen the way Ken Kratz says they happened, and she is very excited to prove this in court. And that is the way episode 1 of season 2 ends, with Kathleen Zellner already proving multiple things that the state did not happen the way they said they did, that they straight out lied in certain circumstances. So she's already on her way to hopefully proving Steven Avery's innocence. Again, we all know what happens. I'm just not jumping ahead episode to episode. I'm only going over what has happened so far in the story. I can go back, but I'm not going forward yet. I'm doing it episode by episode. So, right now, things are looking good for Steven Avery. Kathleen Zellner is a pit bull. She does amazing things. I've been doing more and more research on her, and man, she is definitely the one you want on your side in a situation like this. Go check out her website. Go check out the cases of the 19 people she has gotten released from prison over the years that were wrongfully convicted. Imagine how many people are in prison right now that were set up, framed, wrongfully convicted for any reason whatsoever. She's gotten out 19. There's probably hundreds, maybe thousands of people sitting in jail right now that didn't do the crime that they were in there for, and nobody believes them. It's crazy. I mean, it's sad. Just think if that was your family, or your friends, or someone you're close with. Just a horrible thing to even think about. Well, hope you enjoyed this video. I'll be back soon with episode 2, which will be episode 12 for me. Thanks for watching, everybody. Hope you have a great day, and I'll see you again soon.